afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Welcome to the Government AI Readiness Panel. Every nation around the world, at least most major nations, are running to put AI for their people, implement large AI systems around the world. That raises major challenges and opportunities. It leads to discussions on policy frameworks, ethical frameworks, national priorities, and other issues. Well, the good news is we have an amazing panel for you today that has worked on nations implementing AI for them, and they're going to try to get detailed discussions into this issue of what countries should be doing or their suggestions towards doing that. The framework for our panel today is going to be, I'll start with asking them to briefly introduce themselves, answer one simple foundation question, then we'll get deeper into our discussion, and at the end, since it's post-lunch, we'll have a rapid-fire question asking them some answers. Hopefully that'll be engaging and fun. So are we ready to go, Margaret?
Yes. Ready to go.
So Margaret, why don't you start with an introduction? And the foundation question is, what's the number one challenge that countries face and the number one opportunities that countries face in terms of implementing AI?
So I'm happy to be here with you today. So thank you for joining us and in this interesting topic. So taking this question, first let me put that we all know, since we are all here, that AI is shaping our current life and it will shape our future. And it will shape the future of all the next generations. So for us, it's, I'm convinced, the most exciting time where we could be. And I was just telling to somebody today, I wish I could be alive in 80 years and look and be here at LEAP and see, or here in Saudi Arabia, and see what has happened. We are in the core of this transformation, and it has just begun. The biggest challenge is to take everybody with us. So think of yourself and what you are missing, think what you need, think about the fears you have, and your neighbor will have the same. We are not 100% sure what it will all lead to, but what we can be sure, if we take the effort and we put the positive side to the stage and we concentrate on the positive side, we can make lives of people easier in the area of work. We can make it easier in the area of learning and teaching. We can make it much easier and better in the area of health. So this is only three of the examples in the major fields where AI will fundamentally change our lives.
Thank you. Lama, how about you? Introduction and answering the biggest challenge and opportunity for AI for countries.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Lama Arabiat, the Director of Artificial Intelligence and Advanced Technologies from Jordan, from the Ministry of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship. Our role based on AI, leading the AI transformation in Jordan. So basically, we are into the implementation, and maybe I will talk about the challenges that we have witnessed during the implementation of AI. From my point of view, I usually divide the challenges in implementing AI and developing AI into two parts. The first part, which is the technical challenges for using artificial intelligence, from data preparation, as we have witnessed that 70% of the projects that needs a huge data preparation, our data should be there in the correct format, proper format to be used in the AI models, especially when we are talking about predictive AI, not only generative AI. Also, we need to have the good talents that can handle the complexity of AI models. Besides these technical challenges, we also need the digital infrastructure right in place, like having GPUs so we can implement and use AI in a correct way. As we know that the AI models needs a heavy computational power that needs a strong digital infrastructure to be used within. This is from technical challenges. If we want to talk about regulations challenges, we also have some challenges about the regulatory framework, how to deal with AI with not, let's say, in a responsible manner and ethical way, and in the same side, having the innovation there without killing or stopping or avoiding the innovation. So we need to balance between ethical use, between regulations, and also between the innovation of AI use. Also from the regulations, frameworks, challenges that we are facing, maybe the whole world is facing these challenges, is to protect the data and the data privacy. We all know AI models is based on a huge amounts of data. This data could be personal data, could be governmental data, could be confidential data. This data should be governed, should be protected, has its own privacy to be used in the AI models. This is basically the main challenges in using AI and developing AI from technical side and regulatory side. If we want to talk opportunities, to talk about the opportunities for AI in general in the whole world, let me just to talk about some figures and statistics I have written down. Due to a PwC last study, that AI will contribute to the world economy by $15.7 trillion, which is a huge number, which will make a huge change in the economy and the portfolio of the economy in the whole world. Also, we can witness that the job market will be changed in the coming years. There will be some new AI jobs that's created due to the needs for the technology that is integrated in our world. And also there is some displaced jobs will be eliminated from the job market. So we need to be prepared as governments, as communities, to the change in the job market. So based on the World Economic Forum, it states that from the Future of Jobs report, that 170 million jobs will be created, and another 92 million jobs will be displaced due to the technology integration in the job market. AI itself will be contributed to creation for 11 million jobs and displacing 9 million jobs, which is need to make a huge attention for that job market transition, and to be prepared for the future, to have empowered our talents, to be having the right talents in order to be suitable and to prepare use for AI models and also for AI development. There is a development for AI and there is use for AI and utilization for AI. Both should be prepared for the future, for the new coming AI era, and be well prepared for that. Maybe I can also talk about increasing the productivity in work and reducing and cutting costs. Also, I have some numbers I would like to highlight it. Due to McKinsey report that generative AI itself will automate 30% of working hours right now. So we will witnessing a huge change in productivity, increasing in productivity, and at the same time cutting costs for the large-scale companies and governments. This is in general about the challenges, the main challenges, and the main opportunities that we will be witnessing in the coming years by AI and artificial intelligence, and also by the new technologies itself. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Abdullah, biggest challenge and biggest opportunity for AI for countries, AI adoption.
Great. I hope you can hear me well. Great. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Abdullah AlThawad. I'm the Senior Director of Data Analytics in a company called Takamol. If you allow me to give a quick introduction about what we do in Takamol, that will set the stage to what I would call an opportunity to use AI. Takamol is a multifaceted company. It's a business solution company, but a major pillar in Takamol, we focus on creating digital transformation in the labor market. We do have a suite of products that we have developed and operated, from a platform called Qiwa, which means workforce in Arabic, to another platform called Ajir, which means a recruiter or a worker, sorry, to another platform called Mu'ama. Mu'ama is the Arabic word for alignment. And I will tell you the story of these products and how AI and digital transformation is a true enabler in achieving our objectives. 8 years ago, our Crown Prince announced the Vision 2030, which is a very ambitious initiative to take the country to the level that we think we deserve to be. There are a huge number of targets that we aim to reach. And if you've seen the Vision 2030, all of these targets are very ambitious. In order to get there, you need to be smart, you need to be efficient, and you definitely cannot do it in a conventional way. Maybe I will touch on a few objectives that we have in Saudi, and that I believe Takamol can significantly help the government reach that stage. Obviously, the biggest target that we can impact is the employment rate or the unemployment rate. I believe the baseline was 12.3%, where we stand today is 8%, and we hope to reach 7% by 2030. Now, that small margin will take a lot of effort to reach. This is where we are trying to incorporate AI solutions to help job seekers find the right opportunity in our products. We have launched one in our Ajir platform, and we are also developing similar technologies in Qiwa and other products. One of the very interesting objectives that we have in Vision 2030 is the participation of the disabled individuals in the workforce. I believe the baseline was around 2%, and we aim to reach 15%. And guess what? We are at 8.2%. So we are roughly halfway there, and there is a long way to go. I truly believe incorporating AI technologies would greatly help disabled individuals feel more accommodated at the workplace and deliver similar value to other workers in the work field. There is also a third objective that we are trying to reach in Saudi Arabia, which is the funding for the small and medium businesses. We want it to be 20% of the total funding for all establishments. And guess what? In order for a small establishment to be funded, they need to be successful first. We have all the platforms that help them get into the labor market, be successful, get their workforce in a very easy and a very efficient way, and take them one step further or closer to get that financing that we all hope we will reach one day, inshallah.
May I add something? So, taking from my experience, so I was 15 years CEO of tech and IT companies in Europe, and of one of the biggest telecom operators, like something which is STC here in Nemza, it's called A1. And on the other hand, I was 5 years minister. And the biggest challenge I see now is about the transformational fatigue. So I don't know if you've heard about it or if you can feel this sometimes. We're all talking about transformation, digital transformation, AI transformation, this transformation, and we are getting a little bit tired. At least organizations do, and organizations are always people in those. And and this is true for smaller companies like SMEs that you have mentioned, large companies, big corporates, and it is the same is true for countries. I cannot see this fatigueness here in Saudi Arabia because it's a young nation. We have Vision 2030. By the way, I live in Saudi Arabia now. I have chosen to live here. I don't live in Nemza anymore. So this is something which has attracted me also. This passion, the freshness of the youth in Saudi Arabia. So at the same time, this fatigueness in many regions, especially in Europe, is still there. Yeah? So how to overcome it and how to overcome the fears of starting to work with AI, because we have a lot of SMEs out there which are the cornerstone of our economy, I would even say our culture, and they have never done anything with AI, and everybody is telling them, you have to do AI, and they stand there, including the employees, and said, yes, but how, and what, and where should we start? So from my experience, what helped most, especially in the region, is building on this and working on the ecosystem to include the universities, to include the schools, the startups, the SME. Never forget about the SME, because transformation and based on AI, we always need to include the small and medium-sized companies in each country. That's key. For me, a country cannot be successful if not the SME, where many, many people work in, is also successful. So building an ecosystem and working hard from all angles continuously is one of the key factors to be successful in a country. A second one is to have the right balance between the regulations on the one hand side and the freedom on the other hand side. Whereas Europe overdoes it with regulation, sometimes we have too much freedom in different markets, which means less protection for your privacy and your personal data. So the balance is the next important topic. And the third one is build platforms. So what I did in Austria, when I was a minister, we built an AI platform where all the different contributors put their contribution on this and shared it with the others. It was not only sharing the data itself, which is key, but it was also sharing and showing the achievement, the best practices. So these are the three pillars which I find which are important for a society to make the most out of it.
So 3 pillars she's talking about: build an ecosystem of SMEs, have a balance between regulation and innovation, and then finally share data. Those are very important points from your experience with Austria and Europe. How about you, Lama? Your experiences driving AI in Jordan. Give a couple of key points to our audience. What are the 2, 3 things, 4 things that you have seen that work well in terms of the path that you're doing? It's a new journey. You're the first director of AI in Jordan. What would be helpful to people in the audience who are from different parts of the world?
Thank you very much for this question. Maybe I need to highlight on Jordan AI journey through the few years before and where are we going nowadays. The Jordanian government have been launching its first national AI strategy. That's through the vision of the Jordanian government where to go within the AI. It was developed in 2022, and it has an execution plan for the 5 years from 2023 to 2027. Basically, the execution plan and the national strategy is focusing on 2 parts. The first part is to building the national AI ecosystem for Jordan. When we are talking about AI ecosystem on a governmental or a national level, we are talking about building capacities, also having experts, Jordanian experts in AI, through education, through universities, through upskilling programs to have the new generation equipped with the needed skills for the future. Also, from building the AI ecosystem in Jordan, we are focusing on promoting investment and entrepreneurship in the field of artificial intelligence, and as well to promote also the research and development in the AI part. All of that cannot be happen without the partnership with the private sector and the academic sector itself. So we are talking about the golden triangle, which is government, public and private, and also the academia. We need to have all three sectors working together in order to implement and develop the artificial intelligence in the right way. It's an ongoing developed science. We need to be updated with that new technologies and the new era. So the academic, the research and development is very important to be on board with the public and private as well. On the other part, we are looking forward to implement AI within the priority sectors and enhance the governmental services using artificial intelligence. So basically, we are focusing on developing an AI ecosystem, and the other part is where to use the practical AI tools within the government, economic sectors, education, health, transportation, energy, water, agriculture, and other sectors. We are focusing on 12 sectors mainly, which we need to implement artificial intelligence within. Our execution plan, that's span for 5 years, is already in place, covering 12 priority sectors. Each sector, we are looking forward to implement 2 to 3 projects as a pilot, as a first phase, to see how we can enlarge these projects and pilots and proof of concepts in the larger scale. Also, we are working on enhancing Jordan ranking on global indexes. As for Jordan, now we have ranked as 49 over the world in the Oxford Insights, which is AI, a government AI Readiness Index, which is a good, but we are looking forward for an ambitious rate in that domain, especially that we have some young talents who can develop more in artificial intelligence. And from governmental perspective, we need to empower these young and youth in order to proceed with the advancement in artificial intelligence.
Thank you. Abdullah, the potential for AI is it's going to create many new jobs, but there will be many jobs that will go away, especially in white collar. That's what most analysts, McKinsey, IMF talks about. What should countries who are thinking of implementing AI be thinking, especially from a workforce labor perspective? Talk to them and tell them what should they be thinking about.
That's a very interesting question, Sanjay. So to me, the equation has 2 parts. You need to worry about the technology itself. You need to worry about the people. Let's not take it for granted that the knowledge and the general understanding of everyone about AI is equivalent across the board. You have specialists who understand AI fairly well, and then you have the normal workforce who don't usually understand what AI can do for them, not against them. So you cannot blame them for seeing AI as this vicious enemy that is going to take their jobs, while in reality that's not the case. AI eventually will augment us as humans. We will be more efficient as humans. We can do more as humans. In addition to that, I think governments should be smart in selecting where to implement AI as opposed to throwing AI everywhere. You need to be selective. You need to do a lot of communication, a lot of change management, which is one pillar. The other pillar, you need to upskill your workforce. And by upskilling, I mean make them more AI native, for the lack of a better term. Just like what happened with previous generations, where computers were first invented, the existing workforce couldn't handle them very well. Now, handling a computer is a basic requirement. I believe in 20 or maybe less than that, in 10 years, being AI proficient will be a basic requirement to enter the workforce. And that barrier is not too high of a barrier to uplift the workforce to reach that level. Luckily in Saudi Arabia, we are doing both. We are incorporating a lot of AI solutions in our systems, government and non-government systems. And we do have a lot of initiatives for upskilling. We do have boot camps for students, for fresh grads. We have on-job trainings. For instance, in Takamol, we have a vertical for upskilling that does specific training programs for specific entities targeting specific levels of seniority. So collectively and hopefully within the next few years, we can do enough upskilling to elevate the labor market to meet where we project the AI and the intelligence will be in that period, inshallah.
Can I add here? I fully agree with you. The upskilling, you both mentioned it, and the education is key. And here, I'm convinced that we can do a lot of theoretical training. If there is no practical use immediately afterwards, then what we are teaching, we will lose a lot of it. Yeah, we see that what we learned in school, when we do not work on it regularly and immediately, we call it this action learning experience, then we lose a lot of it. So the most important thing for companies, countries, whoever is responsible, organizations, is to make sure that there is a very close contact and a very close bridge to the implementation, what you have learned. And I think this is really key, because we are doing a lot of trainings, a lot of education, and a lot will be lost. And it's just, we could have done without it. We should concentrate on certain areas and then ask for the implementation. And I think this is important that companies and countries see this and act accordingly. So this implementation part is key for, and I think, and I'm convinced that those countries who are able to do this and bridge this gap quickly will be the most successful. Also, it will not be the countries who own the large language models who will the most successful, but those who have the best talented people that can do this from an idea to like the concept and then to the product, but then to make it successful on the market and finally earn money with it, because this is what makes an economy go. It's not just for learning's sake and then maybe not doing anything, but finally it needs to end in some product, some solutions, some innovation, some ideas, some intellectual property.
Yes, I want to elaborate more about what has been mentioned by Ahmed and Her Excellency about the talents and how to make the proper capacity building in that domain. We know that world is changing very fast. When I was in university, there is no AI majors or artificial intelligence specialization in university. I studied engineering. Later on, some specialization dedicated for artificial intelligence and data science has been in universities. So I joined my master's. I take my master's degree in artificial intelligence and data science to cope with the new digital era. However, now we are witnessing that most of universities are integrating artificial intelligence as a dedicated major and specialization within its curriculum. So in baccalaureate degree, there is in Jordan, for baccalaureate and master's degrees, honestly, we have more than 27 universities who's providing these majors for students. Most of the universities in Jordan are providing these majors and education about artificial intelligence. And we have more than 7,500 students and universities are learning artificial intelligence, which is show you how the world is moving very fast. Also, I want to elaborate more about before universities, we have students at schools. We need to empower these students from schools. What is artificial intelligence? How the world is changing now and how they can being empowered by artificial skills and digital skills to adopt with the new AI era. So in Jordan, we are working on developing digital skills curriculum. One of its main pillars is artificial intelligence for all classes, from first class to 12th class. So we can have our students from students from schools are empowered by AI, and then they can continue their journey in artificial intelligence through universities and can be equipped with the new skills that's needed in the market.
Well, that's very helpful. I have a lot to ask, so we'll go briefly on some of these things. A question for any one of you. There are people here from countries saying, I want to have the innovation of AI, but I want to balance it with ethics. I want to balance it with data security or things. How do these countries balance it? Any of you want to talk about that? Innovation versus regulation versus data security.
So maybe if I start, because Europe is the master of regulation, and we often see regulation as a competitive advantage. I do not say that it is not the case. It can be a competitive advantage, but at the same time, as I mentioned, we are sometimes overdoing it. I think it's one of the reasons why is also our age. So if you look at the age structure of Europe and of Saudi Arabia, so we are much older in general, and when a nation tends to get older, you tend to be more, caring and thinking and trying not to be so pushy. So a good thing of balance in between is the best. One way, if you have a strict regulation like Europe has, and what helps actually in each country is like regulatory sandboxes. This is key because I like this because it's practical. It has been proven that it's working. In a certain field, you can move quickly and you can implement very quickly. The ethical part is important, because we are at the stage now in the history of mankind. So I started out my education, actually, I have my first laptop when I was 20, when I was at university. So if I tell the young generation set that I didn't have an internet when I was young, they look at me and say, okay, how could you have lived with this? And that I got 2 emails a week, maybe. No WhatsApp, no other platforms at that time. And within my lifetime, so far, so much has changed. As you are also, you're much younger, you're expressing the profound changes that are going on, and also for you. So if we look at it and put it in a nutshell, regulation is key. It needs to be balanced, not overdo it, but you have to have it as a country. And you have at the same time pools and islands of the freedom with the regulatory sandboxes that keep you moving like a speedboat and not to slow down.
Thank you. We have 5 or 6 minutes left. I have 3-4 quick questions I want to ask. Lama, for you, there are countries who might not have very big resources. How do they decide which AI use cases to pick, or what should they focus on with the resources they have? Yes. What would you tell our audience?
Yes, from my point of view, that we need to have some kind of analysis before starting any projects, and maybe we can have a feasibility study if we shall go with this project or not. And from AI point of view, that to start with the pilot projects, POCs, proof of concepts, if it's successfully implemented and achieved, you can enlarge the project and extend its scope later on. But you need to test it first in order to know, is it worth to go with this approach or we need to change the approach for another thing?
Mr. Abdullah, when they are looking at policies, they're trying to figure out what skill gaps should they initially focus on. Are there areas of skills that when countries are looking at, they should be focusing on? Usually the world's talked about STEM, science, technology. Do you think AI is changing that, where there is a little bit of a difference in the, what would be your message to them that what skill gaps they should be focusing on?
AI is definitely changing the skill gap scene. Skill gaps 10 years ago is drastically different than skill gaps today in every country. I believe to efficiently address the skill gap problem, we always start from business. Start from the businesses and from the regulators in each to their own field, and they can easily tell you what they're lacking in the market. I believe AI can also bridge that skill gap in the sense that when you improve the efficiency of the existing labor force, you can easily remove that gap, or at least mitigate it. You have a lot of examples for this with the virtual assistants being all over the place. People are much more efficient nowadays, and previous skills are becoming less and less relevant. For instance, content writing. Now it's much easier to develop your own content than to recruit content writers. So that closes the gap for one part, but might affect the job security of another group.
No, that's very helpful. We've seen in the past few weeks, DeepSeek has come out with an open source model. When countries are looking at open source, closed source, some of our guests who are here, anybody has views in terms of what should they be thinking in terms of open source, closed source model? Anybody?
Open source. I'm a big fan of the open source model. It brings down the cost, as we have seen. It challenges and includes a larger community. In the long run, I'm convinced these models can contribute a lot to the general wealth and positive development of society.
Regarding large language models, you have two types. The first one is open source. The other one is like ChatGPT, which is you can have a subscription by APIs and license. For, let's say, companies or organizations who cannot develop their own large language model, we know that it's need a lot of investment. They can have an open source model and pre-trained already, and get it and fine-tune it to the scope of work that they are specifically working on. So open source for large language models is useful for governments, for corporates, for organizations who cannot build their own large language model, but use the pre-trained one and containerization that model and using it for the scope that you are needed to.
So one thing to add here, I'm pro open source, of course, but governments and entities need to be careful that working with open source comes with an engineering overhead with it. So you might want to outsource that and go to a licensed solution if you cannot afford the engineering overhead. It's not necessarily always cheaper. It's cheaper if you have these extra resources to handle all the operation and the engineering part.
Yes, exactly. And this is also can help you for having your data in a private place, not to have your data processed in a third party or outsource engines. So maybe the outsource can solve some parts of challenges in data privacy and data security, but as Ahmed mentioned, that it has some challenges as well to be taken into consideration.
Finally, we have this rapid round of lightning questions. So I'll ask each of you yes or no, because we are running very close to our time. Starting with you, Margaret, do you believe AI will create more jobs than it'll lose jobs? Yes or no? Will create more jobs?
Yes, we'll create more jobs.
Yes, of course.
Definitely yes.
Okay. Is a regional regulatory framework for AI more effective than a national or a global regulatory framework? Yes or no? Regional versus national, Margaret?
It depends.
Yes, also it's yes to a certain limit. When you need to have international cooperation, there should be some standards, some guidelines for all countries together, but inside the country you will have your own regulations that govern the use in your own country.
No, the answer is no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we have kind of run out of time, but I hope all of you got some amazing perspectives from a global view from our panelists in terms of what should countries be doing as they march towards AI adoption. I really want you to thank our panelists and give them a big round of applause for amazing insights. Thank you so much.